Welcome to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast.
My name is Jen Clark.
And I'm Elke Clark. We are a mother-daughter team who started our Zazzle e-commerce businesses over 10 years ago and have sold over $15 million worth and counting of products on Zazzle with our designs on them.
We had so many people asking us how we did this, so we created the Profit by Design Academy, a 12-month coaching program where you will implement the 5 strategies we have used for success on Zazzle.
When we aren't coaching our amazing clients to reach millions in sales on Zazzle, we love cooking food from places all over the world that we've traveled to, jet-setting to our next dream destination, spending quality time with our close friends and family, or having fun creating our next bestsellers in our own Zazzle businesses.
In this podcast, we share actionable steps you can take to make money in your online business using Zazzle. Each episode will take you one step closer to creating that perfect business, which will give you the freedom to live your dream life.
We believe that you can have anything you dream of, as long as you work smarter, not harder. We're here to give you the tools you need to make your dream life happen. So let's get started. Well, hey there, it's Elke, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm here as your host, and we are so excited for this episode. I always say we because Jen's usually with me, but unfortunately, she's not feeling well. And so again, she's not on the podcast, but she sends her regrets. So now this episode is so important because as you're listening to this, and this is being recorded in January of 2022, you're hearing it in February of 2022, which is the way we do our podcasts. So I want to just give you, we're all dealing with numbers. So I just want to make sure that you completely understand that by the time you're listening to this, more than likely, even more money has been made by our coaching clients. And they're the people that I'm using as examples today to help you with this. But today I'm going to talk to you about what does it take to sell $1 million and what does that look like on the Zazzle platform. And you may think that it's going to be this really complicated thing, but it's really actually quite simple. But you have to do a little bit of looking at the numbers and how it can be possible and the probability of it and also the timing. And so that's how I'm going to break it down today. So I'm really excited. Are you interested in knowing what it takes to sell $1 million on the Zazzle platform? And what does that look like for you if that was going to be you? Then stick with me and we're going to have a great time. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first, when you want to sell $1 million, if you are using our guidelines, we set our royalty, which is if you're brand new to the Zazzle platform, let's just backtrack a minute. Zazzle's a print-on-demand company. And so as a customer, you can go on there and you can look at all these different really cool designs, and they're all in this virtual marketplace. But then only once you buy that particular product that you want, does it become a reality, right? That's why it's called print on demand. And for a customer, that's really great if you want to purchase products from a sustainable, eco-friendly company, which Zazzle's been sort of the forefront leader in this area for years. But for the platform itself too, Zazzle has allowed the people who are creative and even non-creatives to be sellers or designers on the Zazzle platform. The idea here is that we can, as designers, open up a free store, post products for sale virtually. We don't have to do any, sourcing or whatever, or make agreements with distributors in China or anything like that. We just need to go onto the platform, because Zazzle's done all that for us, and go find out what the products are that we can design on. And then we use their edit tool, which is really, really easy to use. We show you step by step in the Profit by Design Academy if you want to do it, make it really easy for yourself and just get the training. Then when you finish your design and you make it really pretty and all that stuff, you say post for sale, and it becomes part of your store inventory that you have as your virtual store. And it's also put in the Zazzle marketplace where people can search for it, even if they don't end up on your store. And when they purchase it, then you get a royalty because Zazzle's doing all the rest. And so when you set your royalty, we recommend about 10%. And some people can go higher if they want to. There's some restrictions. If you go higher, you have to pay a little bit of a clawback, that kind of thing. And also, adding the percentage of royalty does not mean you get a bigger cut of what the current product is selling for. It means that the product gets more expensive, right? So there's this nice balance between you setting your royalty and getting a reasonable royalty back, and then setting your royalty too high and not being able to sell because the product's out, priced way out of the normal range of what products are selling for in that category, for that product in the Zazzle marketplace. And so by selling it at 10%, it's always been our go-to. We might have a couple of products that are a little higher, but in reality, if you stop worrying about that and just set it at 10% and you can get on with other things, you can still make a lot of money, right? The idea here is you're not losing out by, playing around with all the percentages. Sure, you can do a little bit more, but you'd have to do all that, a lot of volume in order to do that. So I want to make sure that just don't fret about this. It's always something that people really feel really strongly about, that they're giving too much of their money to Zazzle. I'm just so glad that Zazzle is doing all this work for me and I get a 10% cut. Perfect. All right. That's what I look at it as. And I go like, okay, how can I make this work for me? And so that's my little discussion there. But we always suggest that. And it works super well for most of our clients. And if they have a few things that are higher, then that's to their prerogative. But on average, it's about 10%. And so I'm hoping that you'll do the same when you do your calculations. But if it's higher, obviously, you're going to make your cost higher in terms of your calculations. So let's start with $1 million. We want to make $1 million in sales. That's sales, right? Not royalty. And so $1 million in sales on the platform for us to earn $100,000, right? If we're using this example and we go through this, if I make $1 million in sales and I set my royalty at 10%, then I'll make $100,000. Okay? So that's the key here, is so even like selling $1 million means that I've made a lot of money, 6 figures, right? So that's cool. And obviously that's all related to 10% royalty setting. Okay. So now let's get into the numbers of how can I make $100,000, right? And I'm going to just work everything into the sales aspect just to keep the numbers straight, even though later I'm going to talk about earnings for 2 examples that I'm going to go into really big detail about what they made every single year while they were in our coaching program. And you'll be able to understand then how things work in terms of, what you have to expect in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And obviously, what they've done is much quicker than whatever I did when I started out, because I didn't have the training that you guys are getting if you go into the Profit by Design Academy, and also what we teach you here in general principles in our podcast. Okay, so let's go back to $1 million in sales and let's sell t-shirts. Okay, so if we sell t-shirts on the Zazzle platform, and actually, even though I have never sold a t-shirt and I've still made over $1 million, actually, no, I shouldn't say that, maybe 10 t-shirts in total, but you don't need to sell t-shirts on these platforms in order to make money. You can sell so many other things and make quite a lot of money, even though that's where everybody thinks, oh, okay, print on demand, t-shirts. And yes, there's even print on demand companies that are only t-shirts, but that's a myth. There's so many other opportunities out there for you. But we're going to use the t-shirt as an example because this is a low cost item and you get a low cost amount back, right? So the t-shirt, even if it's a low price, which is like really low balling, it's like the cheap on the Zazzle platform, basic product, $20. Okay. So then if you set your royalty at 10%, you'd get $2. Right? But let's just divide the $20 into $1 million, which means that you'd have to sell 50,000 items, t-shirts, to make $1 million, right? Everyone following me on the math? 1 million divided by 20 equals 50,000. So we have to sell 50,000 t-shirts. So let's say we want to make $1 million in a year, which means we'll get $100,000 in earnings. So in 1 year, we'd have to sell 50,000 t-shirts. No, I can't. It just makes me tired already. So that's maybe possible for you if you are selling to a political convention, if there's an election, that those types of things have happened. But more than likely you're selling these one by one by one. Maybe you'll sell 5 at a time for bridal bachelorette parties or something like that, or a family reunion. But honestly, it's going to be a lot of work to get 50,000 t-shirts sold within the year to make your 100,000 and sell $1 million worth of Zazzle products. So let's try something else. What if we took something that was more expensive, like a Zazzle suitcase, which Zazzle does sell, and like those roller suitcases, and they go for about $200. You can also sell like duvet covers, but those two, for example, are at the $200 plus mark. And so they are things that you could sell at the high end. And you might think, oh, well, no one's going to come and buy a $200 suitcase on Zazzle. Oh, yeah, that's another thing, like beer pong and cornhole sets and like everything that's sort of plus $100. You kind of feel like maybe they're not going to buy that online, but it's changing. There's so many people that are buying these really high ticket items on the Zazzle platform. And so it's time to get in on this, right? So let's take our suitcase example, which is $200. I'm just lowballing it. And so again, we do the math. We go $1 million and we divide it by 200. And that means we have to sell 5,000 suitcases in the year to make $1 million. And as you can see, whenever we do these math equation examples for one product, it seems overwhelming, right? Because like that's a lot of suitcases. But then it's still 10 times less than if selling t-shirts. So 2 products, both on the Zazzle marketplace. Yes, there's obviously a little bit of a difference in terms of the number of customers who are going to come to buy one or the other. But as it happens, even like with Starbucks or anything else, it's their high ticket items that are actually carrying their profits rather than the day-to-day coffee, even though their coffee is quite expensive. And so what you want to do is you want to bring and this is how we bring it into the next point, which is how is this possible for you to do this, is you're going to decide to have a nice variety of low, medium, and high priced items in your Zazzle inventory in your store so that you get that opportunity to get those big sales, the medium sales, and the low sales. And you don't have to work so hard at only selling the low or only selling the medium or only selling the high, because the high might get you more money, but it might not be as frequent. The medium might sell medium, and it's like Goldilocks, the 3 bears. But the medium might be sort of your best average that you can do, like because a medium priced product will probably sell in terms of medium frequency. But if you don't have the low and the high as well, then you're not going to get those opportunities in addition to what you can experience with the medium, right? And so low would be something around $2 to $5 in terms of your royalty that you get back. So that means that the product itself is $20 to $50. And then the medium is like $5 to maybe $8 or $10, depending on what you want to look at. It's arbitrary. And so that would mean that it would be something that's like a $50 product to a $80 product. And then, if you want to make the high even higher and then just have the medium go all the way up to your highest, that's fine too. But the idea here is I'm just breaking it down for you so that you can actually have a nice assortment of all the different varieties of price points and make sure that you have some of each. Okay. And by doing that, you're going to make it, first of all, easier for you to sell to get to your bottom line of numbers, but also you're going to have the variety, which is going to allow you to have a broader scope of customers that you can attract and get money from in the first place. Okay, so doesn't that sound easier than just selling all t-shirts or selling all suitcases? All right, and it also allows you to cross-sell, right? Because instead of just having all stickers or all t-shirts or all buttons or all business cards, you can then add extra pieces, whether that be things that are within that niche. Like let's say, with the business card, you need a badge and you need a banner for your store and you need price charts and flyers and gift certificates and stuff like that. Well, those are all different price points, right? You've got the banner, the stand-up banner, I think is over $100. And then the business cards are $20. And then the sign might be like, if you have a banner that's like hanging across the back or some sort of like anything that's in a higher price range for that particular item that you can use, you wouldn't have thought of that, right? You would have just always sold business cards. And then also you can take all of this concept and go across niches. So let's say you're doing really well in the business niche, but you realize, oh, well, my designs actually look really good on baby showers, right? It's like you've never thought of baby showers before, and they're a whole other, type of product based combination of things. But by having that ability to say, okay, I need some more high priced or low priced or medium priced products. What other niches could I get into? Or, how can I build out the one niche? You're already creating so much more inventory that is intentional and purposeful, and it will suit your entire inventory. And so you're not wasting time making other products. You're just making products that are very strategic and are working towards getting you your bottom line, which in your case is trying to get to $1 million in sales for this particular example. So I think that covers everything. I just want to get back to recapping those 2 points before I go into the next one, which will be very numbers based. So I don't want to lose your focus. So remember to break it down in terms of numbers of what you want to sell, in this case, $1 million, and how you're going to get there. And if one thing, like a low priced item or a high priced item, makes sense, but you can still not see just selling that, then you're going to have to sell more than one product type. And you're going to also have to go across certain niches. And you have to remember that by having this balance in there, it balances out your business of the low, medium, and high priced products. And get out of that mindset that no one will buy those high priced items. We get so many of our coaching clients posting in the Facebook group saying, wow, I couldn't believe that this person bought 2 suitcases, or they must have outfitted their whole home because they bought 5 duvet covers. And then they're just shocked, right? Or, wow, they're going to get really drunk because they bought 3 beer pong tables. What's going on? Right? And so one would never think that those things sell, but they do. So you have to have those in your inventory as well, because ultimately that's going to give you a higher commission or royalties. And so therefore you're going to get closer and closer to that $1 million in sales that you're targeting towards, which is such a huge number, right?
Have you heard about our Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Facebook group yet?
Are you a Zazzle designer who is struggling to find a community where you'll receive training, content, and be able to connect with like-minded creatives who also want to crush it on Zazzle? Then the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Facebook group is perfect for you.
Joining is easy. Click the link in the show notes and we will see you on the inside. Now let's get back to the show.
Okay, so now I'm going to bring you to 2 examples, and please respect these 2 people's privacies. They have Zazzle stores. They're still counting on that income. Please don't copy them. If you know what their stores are, we are not divulging their stores, but there's some people who are like dead set to find out what their stores are. And it's not that they have the secret to the Holy Grail. It's that they got the training from us. And no matter what their designs are, and no matter what their niches are that they're focusing on, and no matter what their design skill is, they're making the money they want to make. And they're making more than $1 million in sales. And Christine has already made this 2 years worth of $1 million sales. She did it in 2020 and she did it again in 2021. So here's the thing. And you're probably like, so frustrated. Like people also say, well, what's my store? Right. And then the first thing they do is they go and look at it and then they copy it. They copy all my designs. Well, that's first of all against the law. And that copyright infringement has really stringent issues that you can go to jail for that. You can be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. And so please don't do that, and give yourself the credit to believe that you can do it on your own. Right. The concepts are all there. The teachings are all there. You just have to do it on your own. And in terms of bringing that to the table, which is the one thing that I can't teach you, and it's your contribution, right? Your creativity or your design, or you're servicing a certain niche. Even if you're not a creative designer, you can still create designs by buying the graphics and then just knowing that this is what people want and putting your own spin on it. Okay. So please, please, please hear me. And this is not to stop you. This is actually to inspire you, because once these 2 people, Christine and Brandon, that we're talking about here, I'm pointing to my computer because I've got all their stats here. Not that they're right in front of me, but they also didn't know what they should design. They faltered and weren't sure. They got a lot of design help. We have certain design training courses, which they've both taken. And you get into the groove after a while, but you have to do your own. You have to practice. You have to make a lot of mistakes. And then once you get more good at what your own design abilities are and how you use the templates and the design tool and create templates and all of that and figure out where your strong points are, that's when you start to thrive in the designing aspect of things. And it's not going to come from you copying certain, like I've had my monogram copied all the time. And please stop if you're doing it. I've had my sketchbook design copied. I've had my wedding invitations copied. But ultimately, I'm still the original owner. And either I get you taken down by Zazzle or I create designs that are even better. And because I'm already the one selling those, you get like a little bit of a cash grab and then you peter out. And in the meantime, you've wasted all that time not coming up with your own designs. If you want to sell $1 million and make $100,000 a year, you've got to come up with some good original stuff. And otherwise it's not going to work for you. So that's my, I should actually have three, more tips in there. The copyright, super, super important. Okay. So in the show notes, you're going to see this all listed. So you don't have to write these down while you're listening. Obviously you're probably exercising or driving to work or something. So, but go to the show notes for not only the links to Christine's YouTube video where we interview her, and also to the show notes link where I think I've got it in here. Yes, I'm going to put it in here for Brandon, and he's camera shy, so he doesn't want to do that. But he allowed us to, in a podcast and also in a YouTube video, I believe, to go through step by step how he progressed through for each year and what happened in one year and the second year as to how he started out. And so, for someone who's done so much to be so open to give you that advice and that encouragement so that you can feel like, oh, I'm going to be like Brandon, or I'm going to achieve the results like Brandon, to give you that inspiration, he's allowed us to use all this information, and so has Christine. So be so kind and respectful to not copy them and to allow them to continue with their livelihood, and instead use them as an inspiration and for what all the things that they've given us and shared with us, which is so important because it's allowing you to say, it's possible for me to make $1 million, right? I can't say that. You have to decide to say that because I can't make any income claim statements, but you can definitely say, I'm going to sell $1 million worth of Zazzle products one day. It's going to happen for me. Look at what's happened to Christine and Brandon. Okay, so let's start with Christine. As of December 2021, she has now earned over $300,000. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go year by year and I'll give you her numbers of what she's earned. So then all you have to do is you have to 10 times it to see what she's sold, right? Easy math, right? But since we're concerned about what people are earning, and if you sell $1 million, you've earned 100,000. If you set your royalty at 10, then you get the idea. So let's just talk now about what people have been paid out by the Zazzle platform because they've sold X number of dollars worth of Zazzle products. So by the fact that in lifetime earnings, Christine's made $300,000 as of December 2021. That means she sold over $3 million worth of Zazzle products. Okay. But I'm not going to do this transition each time because it's going to get overwhelming. So now we're just going to stick to earnings. So lifetime earnings in 2016 for her was $132. And she'd been on the platform for 2 years and tried to do everything on her own. Then in 2017, she started with the Profit by Design Academy. And by the end of it, she'd made $3,800. So in her first year, she made a couple of $1,000s, right? Okay. So in 2018, she made $33,000 and she was continuing to get help through the Profit by Design Academy. Then in the year that COVID hit, she made over $100,000 in 1 year. These are all just 1 year, right? And so here she'd also been part of a creative CEO mastermind that we hold. And then in 2021, she made $150,000. And what she's getting now is continuing help in the Profit by Design Academy. And she's getting one-on-one coaching as well. Okay. So that's, hopefully I helped you go through that. The idea here is that not only does it start slow, even though you're getting the training, but then it gradually, like exponentially explodes, right? You start to get like, it's not even like doubling, it's sometimes tenfolding in terms of how much you can increase your income from year to year. Okay. Then in Brandon's case, and I'm just pulling up his numbers here, he's already, as of December 2021, made $330,000 in lifetime earnings since starting with the Zazzle platform. Now, when he tried to do this on his own, he was on Zazzle for 5 years before, and he was selling like stock photography and things like that. And he has branched out since then, just so you know. It's not just all from stock photography here in terms of his earnings. He just really likes to not miss out on any other earning opportunities. And this is where, you kind of let go of your artist ego. You go like, well, this platform actually offers me much more than what I thought I could do, so let's try it out. And that's what Brandon has done. In 2016, before he started with us, every year for like the past 5 years, he'd made about $500 a year and just couldn't seem to break that $500 mark. And then when he started in 2017, after a year of being in the Profit by Design Academy, he earned $10,000. So for anyone who's watching or listening and you're in the Profit by Design Academy, it's not that you're going to be, it's not a given that you can earn $10,000 by the end of the year, but that's what Brandon did. And then Christine, she earned $3,800 in that first year. So, but there are earnings, and some of our students earn nothing, just so you know, because they haven't implemented everything. But if there's an opportunity for you to put the effort in, make that time, do the work, then there's potential. Then in 2018, he made $30,000. And he was continuing with the PDA training. In 2019, he made $60,000, and he had also been part of a Creative CEO Mastermind at that point, our very first one that we held in Mallorca. Long gone are those days until COVID gets better that we can meet in person. But unfortunately, the fun is not there in terms of having fun, goofing around, going to see wonderful sites. But the Creative CEO Mastermind online delivers even more than the training did that when Brandon first did it in our first mastermind ever. So it's the Creative CEO Mastermind is alive and well. We actually have, I'll put a link in here to sign up because we actually have a session starting in June and we're actually actively open for enrollment at this point. Okay. Then in 2020, he made about $80,000. So every year it's getting higher. And these are like, again, per year, right? It's not added to this is lifetime earnings all the way through. This is per year. And then he's also done private coaching, which we have now. We have one-on-one private coaching sessions that you can sign up for. And then in 2021, he made $150,000. So Christine's journey and Brandon's journey are a little bit different, but they kind of end up in the same spot by the year 2021. A lot of what's happened with Brandon is that he didn't always have time to do things. Sometimes he had his day job that took precedent, obviously. And so sometimes he didn't do things for like 3-4 months on the Zazzle marketplace and lost out a little bit of the momentum as he was building his store. And then he got back into it. And then now he's reaping the benefits, obviously, in 2021. And he's learned his lessons to some degree. And so he wants to be as competitive and as effective at earning more next year, right? So in 2022. And so again, both Christine and Brandon started slow, started gradually getting bigger and bigger in terms of their yearly results. And then in 2021, each ended up making $150,000. And that's so important to understand that that's a huge accomplishment, right? If you don't think that that's a huge accomplishment and you were hoping to make that in a month or in your very first year that you're on the Zazzle marketplace, that's just not how this works. I would recommend you go to Amazon merch or create your own Shopify store. That's going to give you quicker results. It's harder. The competition is much greater. You have to spend more money and lay more money out first. You have to learn a lot more things. And so this works perfectly for me, the Zazzle business. And it may work best for you as well in terms of, what you have to get in place in order to generate this kind of number of sales. But then you realize, okay, well, if Brendan and Christine each made $150,000 in 2021, they also combined have contributed $3 million worth of sales in products to the Zazzle marketplace, which is kind of cool. Where else, with very little investment, can you do that just by putting the time in and creating a business for yourself online as a cash flow business? So I'm really excited and pleased and over the moon that the results that they're getting are incredible, and they're well on their way to reaching that $1 million mark that I've come over and beat already, more than that actually. And so at some point we're going to be able to claim that that's what Brendan and Christine did, and I'm so excited for them. And if you've been with us since 2017, when we first started teaching, you'll know that back then I was just as excited for when Brendan hit 10,000 or Brendan hit 30,000 or Christine hit 3,800. Why? Because I know that there's that potential, and I know that as soon as it starts to work, then you're doing rinse and repeat. You get bigger. There's more questions about scaling and inventory management and, fancy and creative ways to do promotion. But the 5 strategies which we teach in the Profit by Design Academy are the things that these businesses are built on. And all of the other clients who are coming up the ranks and who have hit $100,000 in lifetime earnings or $25,000 in lifetime earnings, the group is getting bigger, and they're using the Profit by Design Academy as their way to create that business for themselves. So if you want to sell $1 million on the Zazzle platform, you now have an incredible scope of what it takes, how to get there, what kind of product inventory you have to have, and also how it can progress for you over time if you're going to do this work on the Zazzle platform, because we have two clients of ours who've helped be so open with their earnings that we can then give you not only the inspiration you need, but also a relative perspective as to how long it takes and what's involved in order to get there in that time frame. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast with us, Jen and Elke Clark.
We hope this episode has given you actionable steps to building your online business that gives you the monthly cash flow you want while working less and living more.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Each review helps us reach more entrepreneurs like you working to create a profitable e-commerce online business.
Follow us on Instagram at Ms. Jen Clark and at Elke Clark, and DM us with your biggest takeaway from today's episode. See you back here next week.